All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to start the meeting, Audit and Finance Committee right now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take attendance. So we can start down at the end. Who's present?
Rich Mendick, District 36. Joe O'Brien, District 25, West Albany, Loudonville.
Ray Joyce, 13.
Play 12. Paul Bergdorf, 23.
Mon Willingham, Chair, third. Thank you. All right, we have how many present? 6. We have 6 present. All right, we're going to start by approving the previous meeting minutes. I got a motion,
Second.
and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we're good. All right, so we're going to start with number 8 in this order. There you go. Okay. Authorizing the submission of a grant application and agreement with the New York State Office of Victim Services regarding the Crime Victims Assistance Grant and amending the 2019 District Attorney's Office budget.
Correct. We applied for a grant for the Office of Victim Services. We received $139,313.95, and that will fund 2 new positions in our office, a crime victim program coordinator and a crime victim caseworker. And so we are asking to amend the budget beginning October 1st to account for those 2 new positions. The grant year runs October 1st, 19 through September 30th, 2020. So this obviously will be included in the 2020 budget, but we need to amend the budget for the last quarter of 2019.
Do I have any questions?
No.
Mr. Higgins? Hello. Present, okay. So can you just tell me the name of those 2 positions?
Yes, crime victim program coordinator and crime victim caseworker.
And this is 100% New York State?
Yes, it is funded for the salaries and fringe benefits.
Motion to move.
I got a motion, can I get a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Craig Apples? Sheriff, excuse me, Sheriff Apple.
I'll answer almost anything.
We're going to start with number 9, authorizing an agreement with New York State Division of Homeland Emergency Services regarding the State Homeland Security and Law Enforcement Prevention Grant and amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget.
These $151,400, it's for September 1 of 19 through August 31st of 22. It's going towards radios and some of our drone capabilities. No match, $151,000 grant funded.
Are there any questions?
Move it.
I got a motion.
Second.
I got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, number 10, amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget vehicle salvage funds.
So $26,000 and 404 is for insurance recovery, car, deer accidents, whatever the case may be. The rest of it, $17,450, are monies that we recovered selling off our salvage. The $17,450 we'd like to put in a security initiatives line. We've had numerous requests for speed trailers, which are basically those solar operated trailers that go on village streets and town streets, let everybody know what the speed is and slow down. So we can purchase one for like $16,000, so we'd like to drop that in the line to make that purchase.
You said purchase one for $16,000?
Yes.
Any questions? Can I get a motion? I got a motion. I got a second. Motion and a second. All those in favor, let it know by say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Clay? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. I'm sorry, Dr. Whelan. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Number 11, amended the 2019 Department of Health budget, administrative adjustments.
So this, we are requesting to amend our 2019 budget to add 2 personnel lines and to decrease 1 salary line. This is to create disease intervention specialist to oversee a couple of programs related to HIV and STDs. And associate public health planner position, which will be related to providing work to support our public health preparedness and accreditation.
Any questions?
Where's this money coming from?
So the majority of the money is going to be grant funded, and we have additional state aid.
Do you know how much? What the breakdown is?
For the positions, will be about 50 to 60% depending on the year and the grant deliverables, and then we can get 37% state aid reimbursement as well. So the deliverables change each year. The grant deliverables change each year, so the percentage funded will change depending on the grant deliverables.
Are the positions contingent upon the receipt of grant funding?
Yes,
or
but-
are we moving forward to fill the positions before we apply for and receive grants?
These are grants that we currently have in-house and have been getting almost
They're
every year. They're
Okay, so
longstanding.
this is
So
money
this-
that's in-house?
That we have in-house
you're
now,
reprogramming.
right. So it's
existing
between, right.
industry.
Yes.
So between our STD and HIV grants and also our emergency preparedness grants and our Homeland Security will all fund these positions.
And the monies within those grant allocations are portable and can be moved around?
Definitely.
Yes.
So we have $620, that's just a union step increase, is that correct?
Right, so there was one salary that HR notified us that was below budget, so we needed to increase that per collective bargaining agreement.
So we have here an intervention specialist and an associate public planner, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Number 12, authorizing the submission of a grant application and agreement with Health Research Incorporated regarding the overdose data to action plan and amending the 2019 Department of Health budget.
So this is money that we've received from the state that is opiate funding. It started last year and it's been renewed for this year at a slightly decreased amount, $3,000 less than we got last year. And we're requesting approval to contract with New York State Department of Health to amend the 2019 Health Department budget and requesting an epidemiologist position be added to the budget, which will be funded 60% from the funds of this.
This is 100% state?
I'm sorry, yes.
HRI, yeah.
Yep.
Motion to move.
I have just a question.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so, Mr. Bergdorf?
Yes, Doc, I don't know if it was yesterday's to you or over the weekend, there was what I thought was sort of a misleading headline, at least from Albany County's point of view, that said people were cautiously optimistic that opioid deaths were down.
That
And
was this
then
morning's headline, I think.
there was this morning's, and I looked at the table, and while it may have been down marginally for some small counties, it was up for Albany County. So what do you see as a trend?
Well, I think our numbers are really small, so, you know, it's difficult to identify what any small change means. I think that where we can be optimistic is that we are seeing trends of decreased amounts of opiate prescribing among physicians, and we know that that was a genesis of the opiate epidemic to start with. That's important to look at, and I think we are seeing, and Dr. Giordano would probably agree with me here too, we're seeing increase in numbers of people getting the treatment that they need. So I think that these are good things. I think we are continuing to work with community partners to get naloxone out on the street, which will decrease the rate of opiate deaths, and to get medication-assisted therapy prescribed more widely. So overall, while it's difficult to tell a complete story looking just at death data, I think we have reasons to be happy with how things are evolving within the Albany County area on the overall effort for the opioid epidemic.
Mr. Higgins, did you want to say something?
Only to add that the cautious optimism was also based on our half-year projections so far this year. We're on track for a drop. And so there was a sense that, understanding that anything could happen at any time, we're looking better at the half-year point than we were last year.
Yeah.
So that was part of the cautious optimism.
Do I have any other questions? Can I get a motion? I have a motion by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Burko. All those in favor? Opposed? Now number 20.
So number 20 is...
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Department of Health regarding the Maternal and Infant Community Health Collaborative and amending the 2019 Department of Health budget.
So we are looking to hire 2 additional community health workers for this grant, which is a mandate of the grant. The monies for this grant and these positions as a direct result of the governor's sessions, listening sessions throughout New York State. We hosted one. We were one of 22 areas that hosted one on maternal mortality, a listening session, and this is really to fund additional work out in the community. We know that this is a particular area of need in Albany County, and that there's a lot of health disparity that we are looking to address with these additional workers.
Are there any questions? I have one. All right, so it says here, activities to address key barriers, okay? Childbirth education. So what is that? And how is it going to be done?
So we have currently within our MITCH program community health workers that are deployed into neighborhoods of high need to identify cases and help work with women that are pregnant or are of childbearing years so that they can improve both birth outcomes and improve maternal health. So this is very wide-reaching work from addressing social determinants of health. So if they come across someone who has different needs related to either housing or social services or need for mental health case management, they will help plug somebody into that. They also help people get plugged into medical care and assist people with making sure that they're compliant with prenatal visits, or if they need education on spacing babies or prevention of pregnancy or health during pregnancy. So
Okay, who refers?
So we get referrals from multiple different places. We get referrals from both physicians and managed care companies and community-based organizations, word of mouth, people call the department. So
Can you tell me what your numbers look like?
I can tell you what our numbers look like from last year, if you give me a minute. Under nursing. So in it's 2017 numbers. We conducted 414 maternal child home visits and public health detailing at numerous healthcare providers.
You said 414 home visits?
Yep. 870 visits, home visits to assist individuals in linking to health and social support services. We provide on-site support and service linkage to newly arrived refugees at the Center for Refugees and Immigration at USCRI. There's a multitude of community-based activities and individual activities that are conducted throughout the county.
Is it possible to get that report you just,
Sure. So this is our 2017 annual programs and services report. We are currently finalizing our data from last year and hope to be able to share that with you within the next few weeks.
That's great, thank you. Any other questions? Can I get a motion? I got a motion, Mr. O'Brien, I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Now we are on to Dr. Giordano. Number 13.
Good evening.
Okay, number 13, amending the 2019 Department of Mental Health budget.
Yes, we're requesting to transfer $24,000 from a vacant social work position to our overtime account to help us get to the end of the year. We found ourselves we're currently down 2 social work positions at our mobile crisis team, which has put overtime demands on the rest of the staff. And earlier in the year, we were in a similar position at our jail. And each time, the needs of the people we serve don't, go away when we're down-staffed. So we've been forced to use overtime. We're 19% over at this point, and we believe by the transfer of the $24,000 from the vacant position, that'll get us to the end of the year.
Any questions, gentlemen?
No.
Motion from Mr. Quinn, second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number 14, amending the 2019 Department of Mental Health budget administrative adjustments.
Yeah, this has to do with one of our, 2 of our addiction providers in the community. We get state funding contracts, and we support quite a number of agencies, as you know. The next step is a small addiction rehab program for women. Hope House is a large addiction program for people across the age spectrum and of men and women. Due to the challenges of the healthcare environment, there was a decision taken by these 2 agencies to merge and to keep the next step viable moving forward. So they're becoming part of this larger network of Hope House. So we're asking to transfer $140,913 to kind of reflect this operational merger, which was approved by the state.
I just have one question. It says here that one of the programs was for women.
Yes, the next step is a women's-only program, and it will continue to be in the new.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Joyce, got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, number 15, amending the 2019 Department of Mental Health budget staff adjustments.
Right. So this has to do with our outpatient clinic. We recently had a resignation from one of our social workers. I've already brought to this committee and to the health committee recent past of the difficulties finding and hiring trained, qualified social workers. So what we're proposing to do to get our services to the patients that we are serving quickly is to take the 35-hour position, add 5 hours to 7 of our clinicians who are there now, and we'll be able to really not miss a step in terms of treating the folks that we're treating. And I think one of the added consequences of benefit is that we don't have to pay the fringe on this position any longer. So we hope it's win-win.
Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Bergdorf?
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
I know there are a lot of industries that increase the workday as a workaround. So how many hours to how many hours are you?
Right, so it's interesting that these 6 clinicians and a social worker are the last ones in our department that actually do 35. Everyone else is at 40.
Okay.
So this actually normalizes our staffing, but we're going from 35 to 40.
Okay, so now, just, I probably should know the answer to this. At what point in time do people get overtime? Is it over 35, or is it at 40, or?
I'd like to ask my deputy director to...
You want to answer?
Now, go ahead.
After 40.
Three of you takes the answer.
After 40 hours, it becomes time and a half.
Okay,
But our staff gets comp time unless we authorize overtime pay. So they get hours of time. So
Okay.
say they worked an extra hour after the 40, they get an hour and a half of comp time.
but when you're going from 35 to 40?
Yes.
It's straight pay?
Yes,
Okay, so it's not like we're picking up,
No.
time and a half?
No.
So it really is a good investment?
Yes.
And you don't have a benefit package for another employee?
Exactly.
I believe.
Health and retirement,
Right.
That stuff is linear based on the pay?
yes.
Okay, no, that was my question. Thank you.
It took three of us, but I could have gotten it.
Are there any other questions?
Motion?
I have a
Second.
motion from Mr. O'Brien, a second? Mr. Clay?
Second, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to number 16.
AC one.
Hello, Mr. Riley, how are you this evening?
I'm doing quite well, Madam Chairwoman. How are you doing?
I'm doing just wonderful. All right, we're gonna start with number 16, and amending resolution number 203 for 2019 regarding the authorization to convey parcels of real property to the Albany County Land Bank Holdings LLC.
So this was a request from the Division of Law. I believe Mr. Rutnick was looking to change just some language in the resolution as it was written. Still goes for the same use, to transfer the parcels to the land bank, or to the Land Bank's Holding Corporation, I'm sorry.
Any questions?
It's going to the land bank, is that what he said?
It's going to their holding, ACLV holding company.
It's a limited liability corporation set up to shield them from potential liability if there's a
Okay.
toxic spill.
Yep, you're right.
Found on the
Yep.
site.
Any other questions?
No.
Motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Joyce, I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, number 17, authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 89 Third Street.
So the county executive's office received a request from the Underground Railroad History Project of the Capital Region. We've conveyed properties to them in the past. They requested this empty lot at 89 Third Street, which we looked into and we decided to give to them. Or it's up to you guys to see if you guys wanted to give to them.
So this is behind, oh, I'm sorry. All right,
I just wanted to say that I got a couple of calls from constituents, and they would like it for you to transfer that lot to the Underground Railroad History Project.
so this is behind the property that runs into Livingston Avenue?
I am
Can
not
you use it for
100%
parking,
sure.
is what I heard.
Yeah, another
I'm just gonna ask
about
what
that.
the use was.
It does?
I'm not sure, the church owns property over there too.
Is there a map here?
I want to take a look at that.
We sent over a better map.
They did.
If anybody has premium
So I would
Google
want
Earth,
to-
you could really pull it up.
I want to take one until I can take it.
Okay.
All right,
Motion to
Okay, can I
table.
have a motion
I'll do
Motion table.
okay.
Second the motion.
I have a motion to table by Mr. Clay and a second by Mr. O'Brien.
89?
All those in favor?
89 Third Street. The map is in here.
Can I get a vote? All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
Where's the map, John?
All right, so we take, all right. Okay, now number 18, amending resolution number 251 for 2019 regarding the conveyance of real property at 182 Belvedere Street in the city of Albany.
17.
17?
No.
No, this is no.
Sorry, we got another conversation.
Okay.
So, Madam Chairwoman, this is a request to rescind the sale of 182 Breviner, and to transfer it back to the immediate former owner, which is the Spiritual Center for Human Development, I'm sorry, run by the Reverend Clara Gallus, who also lived there. There was some confusion over the tax exempt status of the property. That's what led to some payments being missed. She's made us whole with all back taxes and penalties.
This isn't my district, I'll move it.
Very good, all right. So, comments from Mr. Joyce. Mr. Higgins?
Yeah, is it vacant? It's got a big red X on it.
It's vacant. Yeah,
It is.
she's out of the area.
Yeah,
No,
she moved out of Florida, I believe.
I think she's going to,
Sell it?
probably.
So this is in Mr. Joyce's district.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Joyce, can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. O'Donnell. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. So now we are on number 19, authorizing the Albany County Executive to submit multiple applications for various projects through the New York State 2019 Consolidated Funding Application process.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This is an annual request that we come before you with every year during CFA season. And we have had some recent success in the past few years with successful CFA applications. We think we have a good slate of applications this year and hope to continue that success. Happy to answer any questions if there are any on the application, but this is simply authorization to apply, and as always with any successful applications, we'll be coming back to you for authorization to accept any grant funding.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rogers. I have a question first from Mr. Higgins.
Just on, there's 7 total projects here I see in here. What is it, can you elaborate on what number 6 is?
Yes,
That would
6, purchase of a vac truck. So in order to comply with the hopefully soon upcoming MS4 permit that has been due to be released for about 2 years, but we think it's finally going to be here.
What is the MS4?
Stormwater. Stormwater, yeah. So this is in the water quality improvement program this year. This, as you probably know, the CFA differs a little bit each year, but there is a specific grant category for assisting municipalities with this vac truck. That's always ideal for us because when it's something we already know we have to buy, if we can get some grant funding for it, that's even better.
What will the truck do?
Cleans out catch basin.
Sweep up the streets?
Vacuums out the sewers.
Yeah.
Where there's like a plug of leaves or something in there, they can suck it all out.
Right, we're responsible for keeping the stormwater, certain stormwater cold.
Just at the water facility?
No. Throughout, on county roads.
Yeah, we have those in the city of Albany, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This would be for county roads? This
Right,
thing
we
would go
fall
around
under the same,
suck up the leaf.
Stormwater Coalition,
Build up all that.
a number of
Bottles,
municipalities.
cans.
Plastic bottles. Do we own any of these already?
Get back to you on
I
that.
believe we have
Think
one,
we
but it's
have
like
one
20 years
now.
old.
Right.
I hope you get it.
Rodents,
Straws.
straws, definitely straws, and those little green things.
But not coffee straws, they're too small.
Yes, Mr. Bergdorf.
A couple of questions. The new elevator at the tower at the nursing home, is that renovation a component of the nursing home renovation plan? Or is this an additional work above the $85 million that we have at the nursing home?
It is part of the plan for the renovation for the upper high-rise, excuse me, not for the layout for the resident units.
So is it part of the CON approved project of $67 million and the additional $20 million which they anticipate to go through the reimbursement process?
The capital reimbursement process.
Yeah.
This,
Or is this new work on top of that?
should be on top of it. Let me get back to you.
Okay, that one I'm curious about. And implementation of a new economic development plan from Camoin Associates. Now, I've heard that this economic development plan is under development and haven't seen it, kind of waiting with bated breath. So we're ready to finance implementation of it. When are we going to see the economic development?
Without making any promises, because I am not the main point person on that, I believe early fall is the plan, but I am not, I can get back to you after talking to our economic development.
Continuing on, improvements to the Tanya Union Center garage. We just authorized $4.5 million for elevator rehab, structural improvements, etc. Are these monies to potentially backfill bonded money that we currently have structured to pay for these?
This would go towards the projects that you have already seen and approved. So yeah, it's to offset potentially some, if we're fortunate.
So we've said we're going to spend this money, and we plan to bond for it. So we're hoping now through the grant process to get alternative.
Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind.
Well, no, I'm trying to understand whether this is new money or in addition to bond money or.
So the way the CFA economic development grants work, they are 20% match, no higher. So anytime you have a project like the improvements at the parking garage, if you can get 20% of that offset, it's certainly worth it. It's not above and beyond. Like you said, we have bonded for that project, but you don't want to go out and apply for something that then you're going to have to come up for the other 80%.
Okay, no, but you're answering my question, which is, we're still going to spend $4.5 million, but if we get a 20% grant for this, maybe we only have to borrow $3.6 million or whatever the number is. Is that the game? That the game plan?
That's the hope.
Yep.
It's the hope. Okay. Now, the DEC water improvement program, is that the big one or big grant, or the Facilities Development Corporation's the big grant?
EFC is the big one. They have two. EFC has the WIA and the IMG, 5 and 10 million. Those are not part of the CFA. They're on a separate schedule. I think they're due in early September, but it's in that area.
So have we already authorized I know we applied for that grant once before, we were unsuccessful. Does that have to come back to us for reauthorization?
Yeah, we'll bring it back, authorization to apply next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
I just have one question, I don't want to belabor this, but I see number 5 is enhancement amenities for the Albany County Rail Trail.
It's a shell game.
So-
Yes, that one, I'll let you answer the specific question. Ask it before I. Yeah,
So how much more money we gonna put on the rail trail? That's what I wanna know.
This, I have to confirm, Michael Alley in our office worked on this one, or is in the process of working on it. I'm not an expert on this one, so if you have specific questions, I will get back to you in any detail.
So let me just ask you one more question. Can you tell me the ballpark figure, how much these multiple applications come to?
Try and run through them. It depends, well, it's gonna be tough. I could, the number of times Union Garage is the total project cost. I believe it's what, 4? Yeah, can we get back to you with
Absolutely,
yes.
absolutely. Okay.
Perfect.
So what do we do? Table this until we get the information?
No, I think anytime we're asking for money, it's a good thing. What's the worst thing that could happen? We can get it.
Yeah, they're great applications. Yes.
They're gonna come back for authorization.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so these are great, we're getting money.
Yeah.
This is just to apply.
Just to apply, that's fine.
Put it in your pocket, you don't have to spend it.
All right, so I have a motion from Mr. Higgins. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor? Opposed? Very good. Now we're going to go back to number We're gonna go back to number 1. And 1 through 4 are tabled.
1 through 4 table.
Yes. 1
Okay.
through 4 tabled. And now number 5. Mr. Riley?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, this is the car wash.
Yeah, the Mayo would like to
Authorizing
have
the
it
conveyance
transferred
of
to the
real
land
property
bank.
located at 171 Troy Schenectady Road in the town of Colony.
So this is a request to transfer, as Mr. Higgins just said, the car wash on Troy Schenectady Road to the Land Banks LLC, again for environmental concerns.
Yep.
The county executive's office received 2 different offers for this parcel because we lack a mechanism, like an open auction that we had done in the past, to determine who would get that parcel. We had determined that the best way to do that was to give it to the land bank, have them evaluate proposals from both applicants and determine the best use for the land.
All right, and having heard from Mr. Mayo, this is his district, he's okay with it going to the land bank. Does anybody have any other questions?
I think it's a great idea, because I think one of the things that can happen if it goes to the land bank is they can talk to both vendor, or both people who want it, figure out what the highest and best use is, and then they can also reach out to the town to see if that's a consistent use with zoning and how it fits into, the Route 2 corridor.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Clay and a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we have number 6. And that is Mr. Thalen, and we're adopting the
Should be 2020.
2024 Albany County Capital Plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, we put together a 5-year plan every year for capital improvements that we investigate our holdings and may have to do around the county. Last month, we submitted it for public hearing, and I believe Mr. Bergdorf asked for a breakdown of changes, which we then supplied with this. I personally believe there's not as many significant changes as we have made in previous years, and if I have any questions here, I'd love to go through it.
Do we have any questions?
We're doing more Civic Center stuff.
Mr. Higgins?
The Civic Center stuff, thank you. The Civic Center, with the suites, was this requested by Bob down there, these changes?
It's in the remove section that came off.
Oh, these came off.
Yeah. The projects were complete. So the way this reads, it's new projects, and you see it headline there, and it doesn't come out the best with this format. Yeah. So it's basically the previous capital plan, and that breakdown is the changes that you should find in the remaining 30 pages of the pamphlet.
So the stuff for the TU Center on the amended ones, is that something Bob wants, that was the expansions?
Where are you?
Page 4.
Yeah, the page 4.
This is an amended project?
Yes, it was a project that was,
I mean, is it necessary? Yes.
it was started, and I believe to complete it because of the change in the format was, they put in a $1.5 million change for the amended in 2020. Get my book. Yeah, my book. I don't think it was a full $1.5 million change. Hey, thank you. I didn't tell you.
I mean, a lot of these are, roads and bridges,
And time frame changes with those roads and bridges.
it just seems like it's more of a glitzy type of thing.
Mr. Higgins, that was amended for an extra $1.2 million.
And that's gonna complete the project, or it's a new project?
That's gonna complete the project. They originally figured it was 300,000 to complete. It's 1.5 million because they had to redo the whole backing of it, so.
Pretty large discrepancy, isn't it?
Yes, that those do come up when we do the committee meetings and like, oh, it was 300,000 when we started this 2 years ago.
Sounds like.
Change orders.
But definitely.
The one thing about that one is it should allow for additional revenue coming in, because those boards are used for advertisements, so better functionality, having the whole, you know.
These are the things outside, right, on Pearl Street?
No, this is to go around the ball.
Inside, if you're at a show, you see the lights, the scoreboard on there,
Yeah, this will take away all the existing static light or advertisements that are in there. They'll be moved to other parts of the concourse, so we'll still get revenue from them. And then this will allow a fully interactive, programmable ribbon around the arena. So like Luke said, at times it'll have a scoreboard on it. In between plays, it might have an advertisement on it for somebody who doesn't want to pay for a full, you know, static ad that's there all the time.
It definitely brings in some.
There will be some revenue, I don't know how much.
Okay. Ms. Bergdorf?
Positive comment. I see you put in $300,000 for facilities evaluation. Thank you for doing that.
It's gonna take some time to do that, not to cut you off. That's pretty substantial.
Oh, no, it's a huge undertaking. The idea was to figure out how to get the ball rolling. And I had some conversations with George Penn last week, and the majority leader and the minority leader met, and they got their appointees to that committee. And so I assume we'll be reaching out to you guys to figure out how you want to proceed from here, to figure out how to wrap this into the 2020 budget, whatever components need to be done.
Won't be done in time.
Thank you.
Yes, can I get a motion?
Second.
Can I have a motion from Mr. Dickens, I have a second from Mr. Clay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, and number 7 is tabled. We're all done, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.